This is the Dreyer podcast, a podcast all about siblings and the people, places, and pop culture that raised us. I'm one of the hosts, Ryan. My sister Jacqueline will join in just a second. I am super excited about today's episode because we are talking about a movie that raised us at 26 Dreyer Drive. And that 1980s cinematic masterpiece is Saturday the 14th. And if you haven't seen it, don't worry. Jacqueline and I will go through all of the details, the complex plot, so that you don't have to watch the movie. But before we talk about the movie, Jacqueline will share a story about something that her husband did that wound up with him sleeping on the sofa. And I'll share a story about how recently I saved my community here in Okinawa, Japan from a domestic terrorism threat. And then, of course, we'll wrap up this episode the same way we wrap up every episode on the Dreyer Drive podcast, with an unhinged text message from a family member. Let's get this. Do you ever, on TikTok, do you get the Tony from, is it LC Signs? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Mm.
It's this guy who works in a factory, I believe it's in China, and he takes these these memes that are just working on TikTok, and he'll play like the first 3 seconds of it, and then he'll be like, nobody cares. And then he'll be like, you want to know how to tell if sign is good quality? And he talks about the sign and tries to pitch you on the signs that they make. The reason I'm bringing this up is that I'm maybe for our... We must be coming up to a 1-year anniversary soon. Maybe I'm going to get an on-air...
Yeah, I think we start in April.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to get an on-air little lamp behind me that I'll turn on when we are doing this podcast that most people listen to instead of watch, because I've seen the YouTube statistics and I know that nobody is watching.
Hey, I never know which I like to mix up the avenue and from where I'm sharing the podcast from. Sometimes I'll do from Apple Podcasts, sometimes I'll do it from the DreyerDrive.com. And this last one, I felt it was so necessary to see your drawing of your house that I had to share it via YouTube, because I was like, this needs to be viewed. Because when you published it, I don't know, it's a baby. When you birthed it, my family and I were in Hawaii and we were driving. So my kids were like, turn it on. And I was like, oh, I guess we will. That's fine. I hate to do this, you guys. But so we were listening to it. And I
love that you do that with your family. The people that do nothing but listen to you all day.
What's that? A captive audience? Please listen to me talk nonstop. But as soon as you were talking about your house, Justin was like, I need to see this plan. And I was like, lucky for you, I have it right here. Because I was like, you need to have eyeballs on this rectangle that you drew and said you wanted to live in.
Yeah, that's...
And we were laughing about it too, because I actually happened to be Justin was on a conference call, and he was on speaker the other day while talking to a client. And I heard them ask him to make the home a little more less. And that was the directive for the house. Can you just make it a little more less? And I was like,
what?
And the best part is Justin was like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I was like, what does that, a little more less? There's no such thing. What are you talking about? I was like, man.
That song? Isn't that Mambo number 5?
Mom, do you know, I have, wow, we're all over the place today, but I have a Spotify. I have a Spotify playlist called Songs Only Jay Likes. And it's only songs that only I would listen to by myself. No one can know that I listen to these songs. And you better believe Mambo number 5 is on.
No, it's Mambo number 5, the Barbie song and the sunscreen song. Do you have the sunscreen? You better wear sunscreen.
I do not have that one, but I absolutely have the Barbie. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world song on there. And Prozac. Do you remember Prozac? Strange Disease. We used to listen to a lot of Europop.
Sorry, did you say we?
We as a family. Daniel
around.
Daniel was the real McCoy. He liked his talking Europop. I like Prozac.
It's funny that you brought up, or I brought up, but then you doubled down on the Barbie song, the Barbie World song. So I kid you not, last week, I was going for a walk with Naya, and I'm walking past a house just around the corner from us. And it's 11 a.m. And the second I exit our street and turn right, I hear the Barbie World song blaring, which is also, you just don't hear a lot of, I think it would be a normal thing to be walking through the streets of Ajax. Someone has a window open and you hear whatever music pouring out of their house. But it's not a thing that you normally hear here. and I can not hear, like here's here,
Got it.
this location. So I turn the corner, I'm walking, I'm like, what the heck? Like, where's this coming from? And I get to the house where I hear it coming from, and I expect to see, I don't know, a 13-year-old girl, day off school, parents not home, just jamming out to Barbie World. No, it was a middle-aged man cleaning his house.
Honestly, valid. It gets me going when I need to clean my house. So.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to assume or project. I'm just saying it was not what I expected.
I just pulled up this playlist. I'm being very vulnerable here because again, these are songs that I would never want people to know that I listen to. And it is a wild assortment of songs, including I'm Too Sexy by
Ew.
A variety of Backstreet Boys, Summer Girls by LFO. Obviously, I like the girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch. It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. Lots of Just a Friend by Biz Markie. Just some just songs that I was just like only listen to by myself in like a safe space. And I don't know how safe this space is here, but
well, we're about to find out. When
here we are
to the masses.
I also have that song. Remember, you told me once that you took an Uber in Toronto, and the guy driving the Uber was like, "I used to be in a band," and you were trying to figure out. Yes, and you were trying to figure out what band he was, and I was like, "Oh, I know exactly what band it is because I have that song on my playlist," and it's it's called like "Turn the Lights On." Hang on, I'll find it. And the band was. You're gonna have to cut this out. Big Sugar. You were the Uber driver that you had was the lead singer of Big Sugar. Here, I'll turn. Does this sound familiar to you at all?
Yeah, the song sounds familiar.
This is probably, we would have been listening to this in like 2000, 2001 Ajax.
Again, we meaning you.
And I just wanted to point out to everybody that he drives Uber now. I don't know why I'm like he's really
why?
catching strays here.
Just want to point out to what he is trying to provide for his family. And who knows?
I just thought it was...
Maybe he's doing market research for his next record.
A lot of the music that I have on this playlist is very like Ajax specific music.
Ajax House Party. It's just sublime.
Yes. Sublime. Like Chocolare, like why would I, and who else is going to listen to this? I'm the only person who has this on my playlist at this point in time.
Do you have Snow on there, the Informer?
Yeah.
Do you know what that song is about?
Now that I'm thinking about it, is it cocaine?
What? I don't know. Ajax, early 90s, cocaine.
I'm thinking Snow. I'm thinking, is it about cocaine? No, I don't.
The song is called Informer. It was the original Snitches Get Stitches song. It sounds poppy, but they're saying that they are going to beat up or take care of the informant.
Oh, okay. Well, and we didn't know that because he's saying it in like that fun little accent that he does.
Yeah, but just there's a little bit of trivia for you guys today.
I want to look up the words now. It's like sometimes Jonathan will look up the lyrics of songs that we've listened to a long time and just like send them to me and be like, reminder that this is what this song actually says. And I'm sure I don't know if we mentioned this. One time we went to do karaoke and it was us siblings. We went to do karaoke with our partners at the time. Did you have a partner at the time? No one put you on blast here. You might've been single. I think you were single.
I was single. Do you know? I know why I was single because there was a shirt that I was wearing in one of the pictures
with a giraffe on it, or
That's
something.
The one. That was me signaling to the world that I'm single.
That I'm ready to mingle.
It was like an extra small. It was a birthday present from some friends, and yeah.
I bet I could find that picture. But so we had gone to do sibling karaoke, and our partners were there. And Jonathan and I were we love to do a duet when we were doing karaoke, and we queued up My Humps by Black Eyed Peas. Not really like thinking
just
much
that brother-sister song. Yeah, it's just a brother-sister song that you tend to...
And we got like a minute in and we were dying because once you get to the Milky Milky Cocoa Puffs, there's no going back from Milky Milky Cocoa Puffs. And so every time I hear that song, I'm like, sweat from every pore.
Well, I think that music in general, right? Especially when you're younger, you're like, I like this song. And then you find out what it's about 10 years later. And you're like, how did anybody let this play on the radio? Or how is this ever a song that we were allowed to dance to as 15-year-old kids? Like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. My senior prom, it was in the height of It's Getting Hot in Here. Like peak It's Getting Hot in Here. And that was played 15 times during the prom. It's like, sure, let's go with it. Let these kids, you know what? We're done. We're done here. We're almost adults. We can listen to whatever we want.
And we can take off our clothes. No, you cannot. You actually cannot do that. Please don't do that.
Put your clothes on. Speaking of prom, my son, Andrew, went to his prom this weekend.
I saw the pictures.
And it was a completely different experience. I've had a daughter go through the Utah prom cycle, the Utah prom machine, if you will. And it's very hands-on. I was very involved. It was a very say yes to the dress moment. Like I was involved all the way. Andrew told me 4 days ahead of time that he was going to prom and that we needed to overnight a suit to our house.
Wait, so he was literally like, oh yeah, Mom, I forgot to tell you this Friday I've got prom, and it is Tuesday.
We were out of town. We were in Hawaii. And the day before we left for Hawaii, he was like, oh, before we leave, we probably get a suit. I'm like, a suit? He was like, for prom. I'm like, for prom? And so I had to, everything needed to be done. We got back on a Wednesday prom. The festivities always start the day before in Utah because everything has to be over the top here. So I had 2 days to pull off prom. The nice thing is, I think it's different for boys. I don't know. I not being a boy, I can't tell you. Maybe you could speak more to that. But prom, it was different for boys, I feel like.
I did not want to do prom at all when I was like, just such an awkward.
It is. It is.
And then, yeah, the whole thing is just awkward. I did not want to do prom at all. I ended up asking a friend to come to prom with me, who was actually the girlfriend of another friend, which was weird. But like, I was just like, hey, can you come to prom with me? Because like, I don't want to go to prom by myself. I actually don't want to go to prom, but it'd be weird if I didn't go to prom. So I'm making this really weird. Can we just go hang out together at prom and like not make this weird at all? And because I do not want to be here at all.
And well, prom is positioned as like the pinnacle of like teenage experience. So you feel like you have to do it, right? Like you have to be part of it. And when I went to prom, Annie Gale made my dress from
what?
Shout out to Annie Gale, but like literally $30 worth of fabric from Fabricland in Ajax. She threw together a dress that I sketched out. Look, we both love sketching out outfits. I sketched out and she put it together. And it was pretty low key. And then we did prom here. Like literally when Addie did prom, we were up at this boutique. It was like a 4-hour appointment where she tried on every dress and we took pictures with every dress. And then the dress was $700. And where's it now? Oh, it's crumpled in the bottom of her closet, never to see the light of day again. I'm just getting you ready. I guess.
Nope, not a thing.
Not in Japan?
Absolutely not a thing.
So will there be anything that like is equal to that teenage experience for your kids?
We may have just gone through it because we bought, like, going into elementary school is a thing. We bought a backpack that cost as much as that dress.
Oh, more expensive backpacks.
If you know one thing about me, if you've learned anything from this podcast, is we spend money. We splurge on backpacks here. No, there's a special type of backpack. Have we talked about this on the podcast before? There's a special.
We talked about your backpack. I'm not talking about
that was really special. That was
first grader's backpack.
So there's a type of backpack out here, and it's like a box backpack. I don't know how to explain it. Look at any picture of Japanese children. Okay, hold on. You look at any pictures of kids like going to school in Japan. They've got these things.
Is it like a satchel? Kind of like a satchel?
Yeah, but it's really big. Like it's this giant square box with a rounded like thing that flips over the top, a flap. But yeah, it cost us maybe $650 for this backpack because it's supposed to just like last for a long time. And like we were looking at ones that were over $1,000. We almost bought one that was over $1,000, but Noah decided last minute that she didn't like this one, that one. She liked the one that we ended up getting because it had some like stitching on the side that she really liked. So yeah, it's this whole thing out here and it's ridiculous. And we've established, I live in Japan. I've been coming back and forth to Japan for 20 years. I lived here in my early 20s. I understand quite a bit about the culture, I would say, like just by nature of being here for so. This
more
is
than the average Joe.
More than anyone listening to this right now. But this is one thing I cannot wrap my brain around. I'm like, why do we have to, but can we just get a JanSport? Like, can we not do that? And Seigo's like, absolutely not.
Can you imagine our parents' reaction if, as teenagers, as kindergartners and first graders, we came to them and was like, so we're going to need to get a backpack.
Homeschool.
$600.
You are being homeschooled. The answer would have been homeschool.
Like, sorry, we're going to Byway.
Yeah, Bargain Heralds. And we're going to get a bargain.
I'm like, I remember I didn't carry a backpack. What? Why? Oh my gosh. I can't believe that we can go on this big of a tangent about backpacks. This is crazy. This is honestly
and not the first time. It's also not the first time.
Do you remember? This should have been our Southwood episode. Do you remember when we would have no waste lunch day?
Yes, the litterless lunches.
Litterless lunches. So, and you would have to bring all of your lunch in, like, it wasn't popular in the 90s to use Tupperware for like microplastics everywhere. You ate microplastics, you packed in microplastics nonstop, brown bag lunches. And so there was like twice a year around like Earth Day, we would do these litterless lunches and you'd have to bring your lunch in whatever utensils, whatever things you could find around your house that you could put a sandwich in and carry it in like these cloth bags.
Yeah, with the drawstring.
Yeah, with the drawstring top. I'm like, what I wouldn't do for one of those now.
We have them in our house if you would ever like one. We also have Tupperware.
So, sorry, I didn't know you had Tupperware money.
Expensive backpacks, and we use Tupperware.
Tupperware. This house, Tupperware.
Let me show you what it looks like when you've made it.
I thought you said that when you said that you had them, I thought you meant like the actual ones we had when we were kids. That
no,
like,
not those, but they have
marker drawing of Earth on it.
No, I'm sure that still exists somewhere. I'm sure in Southwood they've got them tucked away in the custodian's closet or something. But no, we have all like the bento box reusable things. It's a little bit of a different scene out here, but yeah, we got a backpack and it was expensive.
Sorry, I'm very jealous. You got a rectangular house coming down the pipeline. You got Tupperware. You got like, oh wow.
Which, by the way, we did go and see the plans, the first pass of plans by the architect or the home builder, and they nailed it. I think they did an extremely good job, but they also completely ignored everything we told them.
Well, Ryan, that's because yours didn't make sense.
I was like this. They're like, okay, yeah, we'll do that, but did nothing. I'm like, but did you not see the picture? But also, the thing that they ignored was the size of the house and the budget. I was like, is this not like two things that you should strictly adhere to? And then they also didn't give us the price. They just said that it's over. I'm like, okay. So now we just have to sit here for 2 weeks because they're like, all right, we're going to refine this based on some of the feedback that you gave. And in 2 weeks, we'll like do the big reveal. But let me tell you, it's over.
Did you rock up to that meeting wearing those backpacks? Because they knew what they were doing.
That was the problem. I had that backpack and I was carrying the other one. They're like, we've got like what? $1,000 of backpacks in the room right now. These guys can go bigger.
He can afford it.
Like we wrote on the paper, like this is exactly, we need to do it under this price. And I don't think they even looked at it.
They're like, we'll tell you what you want. Well, it was just your birthday recently. And so this isn't like my official question, but I wanted you to do like okay, so you turned 40.
Do not start that next one with an F. This is 43. What are you doing?
43. We're 2 years apart. Okay, so you're 43. You just had a birthday. Happy birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Ryan in the comments.
I feel it.
Um, are you where you thought you were going to be at 43? Sorry, we're getting deep here. Are you where you thought you would be as a kid, thinking about like what I'm going to be like when I'm in my 40s? Are you there? Are you not there? Are you farther? Are you buying those backpacks?
I don't know like what the measuring stick is. Like I don't know like
Measuring stick is what Ryan, 15-year-old Ryan thinks.
I think some things are pretty close. I think there are things that I'm so dissatisfied with that 15-year-old Ryan would have been like, when you get that, you have made it, my friend. When you get a backpack, when you get a backpack that you can strap on and know that you can go anywhere in the world and you can just throw everything in that backpack and enjoy your time, you've made it, my friend. And then I get it. I'm like, I need another one of these. Like, I'm not even satisfied with. No, but for real, like, I think there are things that are true that 15-year-old Ryan would have been so like, when you get that, you have made it. And maybe I need to keep that in perspective. There are other things where it'd be like, I'm sorry, you do what? And you don't do these things anymore. And like stuff like that, I think would be like, but I think, sure, like I'm mostly okay with where I'm at. I think I shared the story during the Southwood Park episode where I wanted to be the hero, right? Some friends came to me and they're like, Ryan, Dwayne's kicking our feet out from under us. You need to go and handle this. And I didn't handle it at all. It was just an absolute failure in every way, shape, and form. And I think that one thing 15-year-old Ryan would have been proud of is how freshly turned 43-year-old Ryan handled barely just fresh on the 43-year-old scene, handled a potential domestic terrorism threat on my birthday.
Okay.
I did share the story.
Wow.
Yeah, I shared the story in our family thread. I hope I'm not getting ahead of what might be the unhinged text message for this.
Actually, shockingly, it's not.
Okay. I was just getting ready to wind down the day, the birthday, the day of my birth. The clock, literally, I can show it on my Ring cam, struck midnight. And just as it did, my phone started vibrating saying that there's motion in our camera in the front yard, I shouldn't say yard, and on the front part of our street here. We live on this street that is like on a 45-degree angle. It is so steep. There are only 3 houses on the street. It ends right beside us. And then it's just a cliff, basically. Like there's no reason for anybody ever to drive down the street if you don't live here. And there is no reason for anybody to ever walk down the street. Like it doesn't happen unless you have you've completely lost your way. You have Alzheimer's and you've just ended up in a place where you're here. That's the only way. Those are the only 2 scenarios that people should end up in front of my house. My phone vibrates. It's midnight. I'm like, what the heck? I open it up and there is a man walking in front of my house wearing headphones, wearing a vest, like a reflective vest, and holding a long, sharp object. What I can only assume is a fencing sword. And I'm sure that's not what they're called. He walks past.
Give me a second and I'll think of the real name for them.
Yeah. He gets past us here. Sure. He gets past our house and he stops at our neighbor's house, which is 10 yards from our house. And he shines a flashlight like under their carport and then and turns around and starts walking up the street. And he's holding this long, again, we've already established the fencing sword. And he's doing this thing. He's like flicking this weird thing on the ground. And when it hits the ground, it's like click, 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 click. And I'm like, and I'm watching this real time on my phone. And I see him. He looks in our house. Seiko's making candles in the room beside us, which is all glass windows, like a sliding glass door right out. So he saw her. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? This guy he's up to something. And so I go out to Seiko and I'm like, did you see that guy? And she's like, which guy? I'm like, that guy that was just in front of our house. He was carrying a long thing and throwing something against the ground. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I show her a picture because I, of course, screenshot it right away. And then I show her the video. I'm like, look at the video. Is this not weird to you? And she's like, very weird. I'm like, let me go out and try to find this guy. So Hero Ryan, the one that 15-year-old would be so proud of, got the camera. I go outside. I search the streets around us. I walk all the way up the top of our street, look around, nothing, come all the way back down. And I'm like, maybe we should phone the police and just check if they know if anything's happening in this area. Maybe, who knows? And before that had happened, or while I was searching for him, Seiko had messaged our neighbor, who we know pretty well, and was like, did you see the man? She's like, what man? And then now they're going back and forth. She's like, that is so weird. Her husband is feeling sick, so he's asleep. So it's just the two wives going back and forth on this.
Really amping each other up.
She's amping each other up. Seiko calls the police, and she's like, I don't know if it's anything. There's a guy in front of our house, and he's holding this like long, like kind of like sword looking thing, and like flicking these things. And the police put her on hold because they had a real emergency. She was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put you on hold. There's a real emergency. So she goes up, comes back, and she's like, so go on. What were you saying? And Seiko's like, yeah, the guy walking with this weird sword looking thing and throwing this thing off the ground. Probably nothing, but anyways. And the woman was like, yeah, probably nothing. I don't know if we can send police to your house, but maybe we'll just send someone to patrol the area or something. But like, we don't know. I don't know if I can actually get police cars there, police officers there. Maybe 45 seconds later, 2 police cruisers pull up to our house, and I'm like, what the heck? And I go running out there to be like the guy on the scene to explain what we've just seen. So I go out there. I kid you not, there are 6 police officers in front of our house. 2 of them get out of their police car, which is up about 20 yards from our house, like higher up on the hill. And they're coming down the hill with riot gear. Like they've got these like the plastic shields, and they're like, that's them walking. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. And they're like, did you see a man holding a sword? I'm like, well, it was a long skinny.
Now that you mentioned
I don't know if it was a sword. And I was like, actually, I have a video. They're like, show us the video. So I opened a video, and I was like, not only was he holding this long object, but he was also throwing this weird clicking thing against the ground. And the second I said that, and it's all happening in Japanese, the second I said this, the younger police officer right beside me starts dying laughing. And I'm like, what? He's like, that is somebody who's patrolling the area, checking the underwater sewage systems for cracks. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. They're like, he was wearing headphones? I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, that's the thing that he used. The thing he's throwing against the ground, like makes this like echo, and he can hear it in the headphones. And when there's a crack, there's like a different type of echo, I guess. Like, I don't know how it all works, but this guy, they're like, the only time he can do this, they can do it is really late at night because there's no cars and they're not creating more echoes and vibrations to disrupt this work. It's the only time they can do it. They all start laughing. Like the guys lower their riot shields and like, ha, 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 ha. So I'm laughing. I'm like,
you're also laughing.
This is really funny. Like, we're just wasting taxpayers' money on this. Like, and so anyways, I'm like, I am so sorry. I had no idea. Like, usually they would deliver like a piece of paper that says like, hey, we're going to be doing this work. If you see someone at your front of your house at midnight, don't worry. But our neighbor's out now. And she's like, what is it? Like, the police car's right in front of our house. But anyways, we all chat about this. We laugh. And then they have to leave our house. But I've established we live on this really steep hill, and it's not even like a 1-lane road. They're in these like big police cruisers. They have to do like a 96-point turn to like leave, with police officers guiding the other police officers. And then they like take off waving at us as they go through and leave our house. And then we're like, that was really funny, wasn't it? So all of this to be said, 15-year-old Ryan would have looked at freshly turned 43-year-old Ryan and be like, you're still doing it, buddy. You're still just protecting the people.
Making friends on your birthday. When you texted us about this and you told us that you queued it up saying, you know, I looked out the window, there's this man with a stick. Hand over my heart, thought you were going to say it was a blind man. Like, it turned out like,
might as well have been. It's not too, like, the deviation is not that great.
Like, yeah, I bet you didn't think that you were going to be spending your 43rd birthday.
And I will be
as one of the Avengers.
As one of the Avengers, just saving the people, as I do, as I've always done. I'm known for that. In the streets, I'm known for standing up for the little guy, protecting the people. As I was preparing for today's podcast, I was like, let me just sketch down a rough outline of some of the topics that I would really like to discuss today. The way that I would like to guide.
Outside of the actual topic, or just...
Yeah, and I'm like, what kind of things do I want to share to like warm up the audience, to show them that we are on top of things? And I made a checklist of some stories that I might want to tell today.
Okay.
And
Okay.
let me just give you the checklist because we've already
Oh,
one of them off.
backpack.
I was able to get us there. Okay. Uh, Checkbox number 1, riot police.
So dramatic.
Checkbox.
Such a dramatic. Notice that story is not called Sewer Man.
No, no. Public service worker checking for
It's
sewage.
riot police. 911.
Checkbox number 2, chopstick lizard. Checkbox number 3, non-stop carnage.
Okay. Those all sound like levels in a video game?
Or like chapter titles from a
level 1
from a Mockingbird from the Mockingbird series.
Sorry, I know you really want to get to your pre-rehearsed stories, but we read Hunger Games at the same time, if you recall. Do you recall?
Yeah, we were
that?
pretty in sync at that point in time.
Yeah, we synced up for a brief moment in time with our reading, and then we went our separate ways. But it was just Hunger Games and Ready Player One. But there is a new Hunger Games book that came out just barely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna need you to read it. The girl who does my nails, who is actually my friend, I feel bad just saying like the girl who does my nails. She was doing my nails, and she was like, "So I read this book. I took some notes. I'm not ready to talk about it right now, but if you will read it and come back in 3 weeks when you get your nails done again, like I think I'll be ready to talk about it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." It seems very dramatic. I wept on the beach reading this Hunger Games book. It's called Sunrise on the Reaping. And I would very much like you to read it. Let's sync up again. Let's get back on track with our reading, because I would love to hear your response to it.
Let me just take a look at the queue, what we've got going on right now.
Get rid of all of your self-help and business books. Only read Sunrise on the Reaping.
Hey, look, I'm in the Revenge of the Tipping Point right now, and I still am just about to wrap up the Science of Storytelling, followed by the Anxious Generation. And after I get through those,
Okay. Well, I'd like to make you more anxious by saying, I need you to read this book before we record again.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Now we can get on to your stories.
We don't need it.
You just want to, do you want us to like, you know what?
Put a check. Hold on, let me put a check beside Riot Police first so I can remember.
Riot Police gets a check. And I think that there is a case to be made for, was it Chopstick Lizard or Lizard Chopsticks?
Chopstick Lizard. This is a really short, little fun. Just a little fun.
Well, I just feel like there is a case to be made for a Chopstick Lizard in the actual body of the actual topic today.
What a stretch. What a stretch, Armstrong.
I'll get it there. Stretch Armstrong. So, or we can, you know what? Just tell me now, because now I'm too excited to hear about it. The anticipation's too high. Yeah, Chopstick Lizard is too good of a title.
Yeah, this one's just a short little Okinawan lifestyle, or Okinawa.
We could play a game where you come up with the title, and I guess what the story is about based on the title.
Oh, I like this. Go for it.
Okay. Chopstick Lizard. So I know you live in a place where there are a lot of lizards, and they often come into your house, correct?
Yes.
Was there a lizard in your house, and you happen to be eating with your chopsticks, and you reach down to the bowl to eat your next mouthful of food, and you lifted it to your lips, and a lizard was there?
No, that would be a great story though. I could tell. I should do that. Dave Chappelle does this thing where he's talks about how great he is of a comedian. He can tell you the punchline first and then tell the joke, and you're still gonna laugh. I feel like that would have been a perfect one for that, but no. So yesterday morning it's really beautiful here. If anyone ever wants to visit Okinawa, like October, November, December, and April in particular is like the least amount of rain and just really nice, like cooler evenings, nice warm days. Anyways, we wake up, we get Noah off to school, and it's like, let's just open up all the windows, make sure we've got like the fresh air coming through, that Okinawan air coming through our house. And I get to our bedroom window, and when I open it up, I don't know what I did, but there must have been a lizard just hanging out like in the like in the track of the window.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I opened it up, I did some damage and he came flying out of the top of the track and then perfectly landed in the bottom of the track on his back. And I'm like, he's gone. I'm like, Seiko, he's gone. She's like, oh, then we don't have to worry about him anymore. I'm like, no, he's gone. He's dead. And now he's just sitting here in this track. I cannot open or close this window anymore because he's now there blocking it. And I'm like, what do I do? And so I'm like, why don't I get some disposable chopsticks? And why don't I just delicately pick up his dead body with those chopsticks?
And then outbeat it.
And put it and make Jacqueline's story a real story.
Perfect.
Oh, where did this come from? Oh, I got my lips. But no, I picked him up and now he's fully alive. He was just playing dead. These little lizards are, so he's now trying to get out of the chopsticks. I panic, as you would when this lizard is now climbing up the chopsticks towards your hand. I'm like, no, and flick him out. And I flicked him out the window and he perfectly Spider-Man landed on the concrete wall behind her house, just stuck to it, and then looked at me and stayed there for like 2 hours.
Did you not also text us about a lizard that you like ripped off its tail and like half of its leg as well?
Ooh.
Was this a different lizard?
Can I read the text? Because I think
yes.
I that should have been it. That should have been the onion.
You're telling me the story, and I'm like, oh wait, I do know what chopstick lizard is because you told us the story. But you had 2 lizard stories this week.
It's nonstop lizards here. Like, let's just get that. There's just some reason.
Isn't that that's the country motto? Nonstop lizards.
Yeah, nonstop lizards. I was sleeping, and I woke up to a little bit of commotion, and it was Seiko screaming. And this is the text message that I sent to the family. So I said, Seiko was vacuuming this morning. She vacuumed under the little sofa that we have, and the vacuum got stuck a little bit. She pulled the vacuum out to inspect the roller thing and saw a stringy, sticky thing, which she naturally assumed was one of those sticky hand things. Because we have those.
Which we all know what that is.
It was the tail and skin from a lizard that was under there. She pulled off its tail, and the vacuum pulled off its tail and the back part of its skin, and it was still alive. Not to worry, Noah and I rescued the little guy and let him go outside, where I'm sure a bird will eat it within seconds. So imagine a cartoon where you like vacuum and it just sucks off all the clothes of the character. It was like that, but it was the tail and skin of a living thing.
And then you just sent him out into the world with naked as the day he was born.
Naked. Much more naked than the day it was born. It was missing the protective layer it had between it and the dangerous world. But the best part is like, I heard the commotion and the scream and I was like, ugh, and like rolled back over and went to sleep for like another 20 minutes. And I came out and there was like just silence in the house. And Seiko's like, you need to check. And I'm like, check what? And she like pointed at this little like container that was over top of the skinless, tailless lizard that was still alive. She's like, you need to get it out of the house. And I'm like, where did its skin and its tail go? And she's like, it was in the vacuum and I pulled it out with my hands. I thought it was a sticky hand. It was a sticky tail.
It was sticky. Speaking of being in bed.
Speaking of sticky hands.
No, the other night. So first of all, I should say that Justin doesn't love dogs the way that we love dogs. Like our family loves dogs. Like I could not fathom a life where I don't have a dog in my house. Justin has to have a dog because he's married to me. So he's not just like as thrilled all the time with everything our dog does. And we've had this big argument because I would like her to sleep in the bed with us, and he's less enthused. Less enthused about
with an eye mask, and with those little bonnet things.
Believe it or not, she does sleep. Like she sleeps vertically in the bed between us, like with her head between the pillows. Like we have our pillows, she sleeps straight up and down between us. And I think it's adorable. Justin does not think it's adorable. The other night, she had been sleeping in the kids' room and came into our room, and I was like, oh, I guess you can sleep in our bed, Bertie, and got her in there and went to sleep. Justin wakes up. I was dead asleep for all of this. He doesn't believe me. I was completely asleep. I sleep with earplugs in. So he woke up to the sound a dog makes right before it barfs, a heaving and a coughing. But she was standing directly over his face. She was planted. She was planted right on top of him and coughing into his face. And before he could move out of the way, she threw up on him, his pillow, and like all down his shoulder. Again, I'm just sleeping peacefully beside him. And another thing Justin doesn't like, barf. So he naturally freaks out. He said he jumped out of bed, like threw her off of them, and then he said it was like solid. This is so gross. It was solid enough. Why do we always talk about puke on this podcast? It was solid enough that he could scoop most of it out.
Oh, a nice kibble joint.
Yeah, it was actually, Aaron didn't eat his baked potato for dinner and Birdie definitely ate it. So it was definitely baked potato. The wildest part of this whole story, I'm hearing all about this in the morning. I get up in the morning and Birdie's right beside me. I'm like, oh, hey, Birdie. I look over, no, Justin. And I'm like, that's weird. Justin is not one to not sleep in our bed. He's not, like, he loves sleeping in beds. That's, everybody knows about Justin. There's one thing you know about Justin. So when I got up, he was out on the couch and I was like, what the heck is he doing on the couch? Like, I was so confused. And whatever, I go downstairs and I start getting ready for the morning. And I was like, he came down. I was like, why are you sleeping on the couch? He was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I woke up, you're gone. He was like, you didn't hear Birdie barf on my face in the night? And I'm like, no. And not only that, then he said that. I'm like, wait, Birdie barfed in the bed and you just left it, like you left me in the bed with it. And so then I was mad about, like, he's mad that I let the dog sleep in the bed and therefore barfed on him. I was mad.
And he slept on the couch the second night now too, isn't it? You're on the couch. I might share you.
He's like, I was like, what? How dare you just leave me in a barf-filled bed? He's like, you're on the other side. It's like, okay, fair enough. I didn't want to be woken up, but.
That is disgusting. And you know what?
Yeah.
I will never kiss Justin ever again. Now I've heard that.
He had a dog barf on his face.
That's disgusting. Justin, that's disgusting, buddy.
Okay. We did say ahead of time, if people wanted to watch along with us, I guess, that we are going to be recapping one of the touchstones of our childhood, which is a movie called Saturday the 14th.
Which is the point where I imagine, like when we talked about this in the last episode, I imagine everybody hearing the words Saturday the 14th and going, what? Don't you mean Friday the 13th? Like, I just don't imagine that there's a world of people out there that are like, oh yeah, that movie.
Especially, I was trying to imagine how this movie would have come into our possession.
I don't even know. Like, I have no idea where and why and how we watched it for the first time. And rewatching it, I'm sure we're going to get into all of it. Mm-hmm. I have no clue why it became this thing that we watched so many times.
Yeah, it's not like when we did Mac and Me watching it, I was like, oh, this still does it for me. Mac and Me. Watching Saturday the 14th, I was aghast the entire time that this was something that was a movie that we watched more than once in our family. Why?
Nonstop. And rewatching it, at no point during the movie did it ever seem to resemble a movie that would have typical beginning, middle, end, like climax and like the hero's journey, like none of that. Like there was just no. It was like there's that video that went viral way back when like memes were just getting started, and it's like an interview with a little kid, this little guy, and he's like, "Do you ever dream that that's the movie. The movie's literally that in
what
you watch and you're like, did that kid say anything? Like, did they string together a single sentence? That's the movie. I
rewound a couple parts over and over again because I didn't understand how they got to a new place. I was like, did I look down or something? And then anyway. So Saturday the 14th, here's the background of it. It was released in 1981, so it actually predates us a little bit. That's why I'm so confused as like why its presence was in our home at all. It's not like it's a movie that our family would naturally watch and again. And it's not, I don't think it's a movie that our parents would naturally be like, yeah, kids, you guys go ahead and watch Saturday the 14th. As a kid, very young, I think I was probably 5 or 6 watching this. I thought it was a scary movie. Very scary. There were parts of it that still I felt were jarring. Not that it's not a scary movie. It is a spoof of scary movies. That's what it's supposed to be. But my 5-year-old brain was like, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. It was, when it was released, I saved some of the best reviews. There was 2 reviews in particular that I really loved. One is from a man named Jeff Marshall. Jeff Marshall says, actually, I'll start with the one from Variety. Variety called the film a pathetic farce, which will seem frail even on TV, for which it should probably have been made in the first place. As usual with recent New World productions, the special effects, and in this case, the monster get-ups are actually pretty good, but they exist in a vacuum of inspiration as to what to do with them. I take umbrage with them saying that the costumes are pretty good. We will visit that later. The one by Jeff Marshall was really great. It says, I always assumed that sciatica would be the most grueling experience of my life. I now feel compelled to reevaluate this assumption. There isn't a single cell of the 76-minute film that isn't sheer torture. It's the cinematic equivalent of a bad live-action Saturday morning project financed by a rich fat man who insisted that all of his second cousins be hired. Even in the worst of movies, there's usually a small moment or supporting performance or something that feels the least bit inspired. Not here. It is absolutely dreadful from first moment to last, and I feel a lesser person for the experience.
That sums it up. That sums it up.
Again, it was released October 30th, 1980. I tried to find the budget. It was very difficult to find any background on this. The closest I could get was that it was made for about $200,000.
Really?
Yeah. It's a spoof, and some of the movies that they spoof in are Friday the 13th, The Birds, Amityville Horror, Creature from Black Lagoon, and a lot of The Twilight Zone. The producer, Julie Corman, made a docuseries in 2018, and she gave some background information. The mom and the dad in the movie are actually married in real life, and they have been married. And filming took 3 weeks.
I saw that too.
They top to bottom, 3 weeks. The man who directed it also was the writer of Care Bears and Rainbow Bright. So there's definitely a disconnect coming here. Julie Corman was like, this movie is for horror movie lovers. Like, we're making it's an ode to people who love horror movies. But the man who is in charge of it is like, also I make Care Bears on. So the guy who said that this feels like a Saturday morning project wasn't far from the truth. The man who was in charge of this definitely was a Saturday morning cartoon guy. When the actual critics went through it, it has on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 10% critic score and a 33% audience score. We are definitely in that 33%, I guess, if we're just going like just sheer vibes, nothing about the actual movie. Because watching as an adult, I thought it would be something that I came back to and thought, oh, I love this. Like, I can see why we watch this all the time. I was shocked and appalled, bewildered from the start, and I could not get my head around it.
Well, we did the Macamee episode, and we made a lot of fun of Macamee. There was just this long McDonald's commercial, and the costumes and the Coca-Cola, the dancing, all that stuff. But at least there was a story, right? regardless of the way that those aliens were sucked into vacuums more than once in that movie, there was a story, right? Like, this little baby alien had been separated from its family of aliens, and somehow this boy is going to help this baby alien get back with its family of aliens so they can go back to the... Saturday the 14th has nothing. Literally nothing. Can we just go through very quickly, for those of you who haven't seen this, can we just go through the plot, the storyline?
Yeah, what the kind of whatever we can piece together from the plot. First of all, the opening credits. I did laugh probably 3 times. Like, audibly out loud. The first time I did is during the opening credits when the werewolf howls and then starts coughing. That got me good. I liked it.
Opening credits are also really good. I would say that's the best part of the movie. Like, no, really, like I'm saying, not even because the movie's that terrible. I just really like that, like that aesthetic, it's
very Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, very Scooby-Doo. It's like very DIY. Like I did actually watching I'm like, so much nostalgia in those opening credits that I was really amped to remember the rest of the movie as it got started. So I'll kind of maybe go through a few of the points of the plot and then you like fill in whichever.
I'll pepper some info in.
So the way that it starts is a vampire couple is shopping for a house, right? And then very quickly you find out that it's not a house that they can buy. Why? Because it was an estate that was in the process of being left to the estate owner's nephew, I believe.
It's nephew.
And they now get to take over that house, and they're very excited by this. They now get a house, and they go to that house with the husband, the wife, and their son and their daughter. Their daughter is a teenager, I believe, because she talks about there's no way I'm going to school on Monday looking like this, and I'm guessing she's talking about high school. And then the boy, who's probably in elementary school, and the boy finds a book. He opens the book, and it is the Book of Evil, and he releases these monsters into the house, and the vampires want the house, and the boy has released the vampires want the house presumably because they want this Book of Evil and they want to control the monsters or whatever. And then it becomes a story about them trying to discovering the monsters in the house, trying to get rid of the monsters in the house, and then trying to employ a person to help them get rid of the monsters in the house. All by Saturday the 14th, because
yes, it does. It says that if they get to Saturday the 14th and they don't get rid of all the monsters, then all of the evil will be released into the world.
Yes, so that is the story. And I'd love to say that like the charm or the costume design or the acting really brings this to life. It is so bad.
It's so bad. Also, I will tell you, the dad, I loved him. He's my favorite character of the entire movie. I was obsessed with the dad. Everything that came out of his mouth was gold. The first monster that we encounter is where I lost it, because the only way to explain what this monster looks like, and I showed it to my children to terrorize them and also to get them to agree with me, that it looks like a goat man with giant wieners for eyes. But the eyeballs are at the end of the wieners that are sticking out of his head. And he is the first monster that appears to terrorize the little boy in his room. And the little boy is screaming, and it says, "There's a monster under my bed. There's a monster under my bed," to get his parents to come in. And the parents are clueless during the entire movie. They never clue in ever that there's monsters in the house. It's just the kids encountering the monsters and then trying to tell their parents the monsters are here, and the parents are constantly just talking over them or ignoring them, or they don't see the monsters, so they don't know that they're really there. We also encounter the fish man, which was, as a child, the scariest part of the movie for me was the fish man encounter, which, watching it now, I was just deeply uncomfortable because it was the teenage girl getting ready to have a bath. And this is where the movie is cribbing Jaws, because we hear a sound of the two beats that almost sound like Jaws, and you see a fin floating around in the water, and every time she turns around it's gone, and then she goes to do whatever she needs to do, and the fin pops up again. But then she gets in the water again. She is a teenage girl, and a giant fish man comes out of the water. And yeah, as a kid, I was so scared of the fish man. I remember one time I was going to have a bath at Dreyer Drive, and I was doing it big. I broke out the bath beads from the plastics, the cellophane basket that we weren't allowed to use.
You moved the potpourri bunny.
Yeah, moved the potpourri bunny, cracked in some bath beads, bubble bath, the whole works. But then when I was done and I drained the bath, none of the bubbles went down. Again, I was probably 7. None of the bubbles went down, and I started freaking out, thinking that something was going to be in the bubbles, and also that mom was going to be mad that like I had left our bathtub vulnerable to fishmen because of all the bubbles. And like I think she was gone, and she came home, and I had locked myself in the bathroom, and I wouldn't come out because I thought I was going to be in so much trouble for like the excess bubble usage in the bathtub, that this was going to get me in so much trouble.
And welcoming a demon into the bath as a result.
You know, I've seen Saturday the 14th multiple times. I know what happens when you have a bubble bath. There's also there's a werewolf type monster, and one of the running gags through the movie is this darn owls gag where I did laugh. Every noise they hear, it's owls. And even when the mom goes up into the attic and it's full of bats, and she's still like, darn owls. And so they hire an exterminator to come take care of the bats in their attic. And the exterminator that they hire is Van Helsing.
Yes.
And so then Van Helsing comes to their house, and he's really encouraging them to have a party. And I never understood why he's so like gung-ho about this party.
He explains that they can use all of their good energy to help dispel or to help expel the evil energy. He does explain that once in the movie. I've got notes. I'm literally going through my notes.
Okay.
Well.
Oh, whoa. So on Saturday the 14th, they throw this big party, and all of their relatives are coming over as a housewarming party. And no one can leave after the party starts. There's a big storm that rolls in. And so their son goes missing, and they decide that they're going to enlist all the partygoers. They tell them it's a game, that they're going to go find this little boy because he has the book. And Van Helsing also wants the Book of Evil. And so as they enlist all the partygoers, the monsters start killing all the partygoers in various ways as they look for the son around the house.
And there's also a policeman that tried to help out earlier in the movie who was killed and beheaded, and now his head is displayed on like the kitchen table for half of the movie. Like it's so bad. And you find out that what's his name? Van Helsing, that he's actually a bad guy, and he wants to use the Book of Evil so that he can be the evil guy, and the vampires end up saving them, kind of. And the vampires end up getting the house, and then the family moves across the street. That's the way that this whole thing kind of comes together.
That's how it wraps up.
That's how it wraps up. And it's an hour and 15 minutes long. Like, it's not a long movie. The full thing is on YouTube in high quality, or as high quality as you could get for that. But I do want to go through some of the notes that I have, similar to the way that we did with Macamee. And I don't know if you have anything on your side. But like, one is like the obviousness of everything. Like when they first move into the house, it's like you see a ladder on one side, and you can just assume that someone's going to walk under the ladder because a black cat walks through, and then a mirror breaks. Like, it's to the point where like you just assume that there's going to be spilled salt. Like, it's just like the most obvious things.
There's a part where the mom is cleaning. She's constantly cleaning, and she picks up a full skull out of the cupboard and like dusts it off and places it back in. It was funny. I laughed at that.
I do have a few points in here that things that actually made me laugh. So first of all, this is not something that made me laugh, but the cuts in the movie are so bad. It's literally just like a full cut, except 2 times in the movie. I believe it happened twice. They use like a Windows 95 like PowerPoint. One was like the flipping one, and I do believe one was a fade in, fade out. And you can imagine that was where the whole budget went.
One of the parts that I rewound, because I was folding laundry while watching this. So one of the parts that I was confused at was when the fish man is chasing this poor teenage girl around the house. He kills the police officer, because a police officer comes because he hears them screaming.
And the police officer attempts to shoot the fish thing in the head.
And the fish man does not feel a thing. He just keeps going and drags the policeman off. And then there was a cut, and then she was just back in the bathtub again. And I was like, how'd she get back to the bathtub? And then I guess her brother was supposed to have carried her.
Brought her upstairs.
Up the stairs. Her 9-year-old brother carried her upstairs, put her in clothes, because she's wearing clothes in the bathtub.
A towel. She has a towel background, because I took note of how uncomfortable, how inappropriate the entire movie is with regards to the teenage daughter. Like, I'm like,
This poor teenage girl.
this is really not okay. On to some funny things, though.
Well, did you ever see the movie Shape of Water?
Yes.
So I couldn't help but think of the Shape of Water while I was watching it. I was like, this fish man is going to fall in love with this teenage girl. It'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of inspiration. Maybe there's a little bit of Saturday 14th living on in the Shape of Water.
But Academy Award-winning movie Shape of Water.
And on that Academy Award-winning note, there's a scene where, and I don't even know why they did it, but I think the husband and wife, they're like embracing each other and going to kiss, and they cut to what I believe is the wife's hand, like putting down a piece of chicken into this like cubby hole, and then there's clearly a rat that's a hand puppet that comes out and steals the piece of meat. And there's no mention, like it has nothing to do with the movie. It's just like she puts down this piece of meat and this little hand puppet like somehow like comes out, grabs the piece of chicken and like disappears. And that's it. The
rats were 1000% from Spirit Halloween. Like the rats are just picture in your head of what a rat, like a fake rat looks like at like a party Halloween store. That is the level of special effects that we're working with.
Yeah, it was what we said. You said it was like you found that the best you could find was a $200,000 budget. If you're going to do this game and if you're going to watch this movie and you want a drinking game while you do it, my suggestion would be drink every time somebody squeals or shrieks. I should mention that I never made the connection prior to putting the movie on because I didn't know or remember how many squeals or shrieks there were. Naya, our 9-month-old, is in a very shrieking phase right now. And it doesn't matter where you are in the house, but if you're like, she'll respond with a squeak. She squealed back every time there was a squeal in the movie. I kid you not. I'm like, Seiko, we should record this, but then I don't know when the squeals are going to happen. So like literally anytime it's like, Niall's like around the corner playing with a dollhouse. I hear her going, and I'm like, this is just a dolphin conversation happening in my house right now. A few of the quotes that I genuinely laughed at. There was.
I wonder if we have the same quote, like my favorite quote. I'll tell you. You go ahead first.
I've got 4 here. One I think I was just like a very much like a moment in time thing where I think it was the boy was like, what am I supposed to do? Bring out the Monopoly set? And I'm like, what are we? Like, anyways.
Good one, Billy.
Yeah. The other one was before this, I think the boy was talking about like, what would you do if you did this thing and it might end all of the world or something? And the dad gives some answer and like, just go to bed or whatever. Like tomorrow, everything will be fine. And he'll be like, except for me, I'll be a faded memory in the morning. I thought that was pretty funny. That was the boy's line. But my two favorite lines, one you've already covered, when the woman goes into the attic to like explore a noise that she heard. The wife goes in and there's just dozens of bats hanging. And she's like, look at all these owls. I actually laughed at that part. But my all-time favorite line, so the vampire couple, they are going to go into the house, right? They are going to turn into bats. They're going to go in the house. But the vampire wife, is a little bit jealous that the vampire husband has maybe fallen for the real wife, right? And that he maybe has even bitten her neck. And the wife is getting a little bit jealous and she's starting to go back and forth with him. And you find out that he did something 100 years ago, literally 100 years ago, that has her questioning their relationship. And he said, if you don't trust me after 311 years, and she corrects him, it's 312. And I laughed. I thought, like, that's funny.
The main vampire is Jeffrey Tambor, who is the only like recognizable name in this entire movie that I knew who it was.
Let's go with somewhat recognizable name.
He's the dad from Arrested Development, if people are familiar. But my favorite quote of the whole movie, which I have now committed to memory, if I don't do it properly now, I'm going to be so bad. but they are telling the Van Helsing that maybe they should just get rid of the house, that maybe it's too haunted, they should sell it. And he said, selling the house now would be like closing the barn door after the horses ate your grandchildren. And I don't know why I thought that was like so funny, that I was like, I'm gonna start saying that. but also attached to nothing. Like, Mom, can I have cereal for breakfast? I'll be like, eating cereal now would be like closing the barn door after the horses ate your children. Like, Mom, what?
There are a few scenes that I also there are a couple of scenes, I should say a couple, because there's probably two, that I actually did remember as they started happening and that I genuinely found funny as a kid. So there's one scene where the son calls the dad. He's like, hey, there's a monster in my room. There's a monster in my room. And the dad comes in and he pins his child down on the bed and is like, there are no monsters in here. You need to go back to bed, whatever, whatever. And then he stands up and he's trying to tell like there's no monsters. And he's like, I don't see any monsters in this room. But behind him, directly behind him, is the monster like moving around like the way that he moves around. So it's the eyeball man, which by the way, I believe reminded me of the Hamburger Helper character. Like, isn't the Hamburger Helper like a white glove that like walks around and has eyeballs on the back of the hand? That was the monster to me. It was just a giant version of the Hamburger Helper, but maybe we'll go Jacqueline's description of wieners with eyeballs on the end of them. One of the things I also liked is just, again, how obvious it is. There's a scene where I think Van Helsing says like, look high and low, and the husband and wife literally like look up and down, and I laughed at that part as well. The movie's terrible. It's an absolutely horrible movie. The movie has absolute no charm whatsoever. There's a very few funny parts, but I guarantee you your dog, your neighbor, a random stranger, any one of your children, maybe even family pictures in your house will make you laugh more in a day than this movie will. But you all need to go and watch it.
There was a vivid picture that I had in my head as a kid about a girl getting sucked down a drain. And I was waiting for it to happen while I was watching the movie. I was like, okay, here's the bathtub scene. I remember this part. And she never got sucked down the drain. And I was very confused because I was like, did I just make this up? Is it one of those things that like your memory is actually imagination? And because like that was another thing I was really scared of as a kid, was getting sucked down the bathtub drain. So of course I Google like 80s movie girl gets sucked down bathtub drain. It was actually from the sequel, which we also watched, called Revenge of Saturday the 14th.
Or also known as Saturday the 14th Strikes Back.
Strikes Back, sorry. Yep, you're right. Saturday the 14th Strikes Back. It was in 1988. And when I looked that one up, it was widely panned as much, much worse than the first one. So I was then surprised that, like, how did we also then watch the second one enough that I remember that the girl gets sucked down a bathroom drain?
They're just both so bad. They're just so bad. Maybe I'm going to go and watch the second one now, maybe, because we talked about it. But it's just one of those things. And I'll say, I guess maybe this will be the last thing I say about this movie. If we're talking about the people, places, and pop culture that raised us, one of the things that was massive to that era was the parody, right? Like the Weird Al Yankovic style parody, and how it felt edgy to be like listening to that music. It did feel like, I don't want to say edgy, but it felt like this was a cool movie that like no one else was, maybe that parents weren't watching. It was like a,
I know for a fact mom and dad were not watching this with us.
yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one for sure. But it felt like it was like a kid's version of something that was also like a parody of the real thing and felt cool as a result. And so like, I think if you look at like parodies have existed for a very long time. They're still a thing now. They're much higher quality. They will make you actually laugh. But this felt like watching a Weird Al Yankovic movie, which by the way, he has his own movie called UHF or VHF. I can't remember which one. We should also watch that because I loved that movie as a child. But it felt like this parody of what like parents would do or watch, and felt a little bit like kind of edgy and like
yeah, and even anti-culture, even the idea that like it's the kids who drive what is what's left of the plot, constantly being they're the smart ones in the room. They're the only ones in the room that understand what's happening going on. And it's constantly the parents who are just like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Like that. I think we talked about this before, like the fantasy of kids in like 80s and 90s is like, I'm going to be in charge of everything. And my parents won't be in charge. And I felt like I think, imagine going to see this in the movie theater as an adult, you'd be so confused. But yeah, kids would have eaten this up. That's exactly what they wanted. I just watched this movie, strangely enough. I was thinking about the idea of like, does like a horror comedy even exist now? Like a parody exists, but I just watched a movie called Lisa Frankenstein. Have you heard of it?
No, I'm going to Google right now while you're talking.
Lisa Frankenstein, it's a play on like Lisa Frank, 80s, like aesthetic, and it takes place in the 80s, and it's about a girl who a zombie comes to life, and she slowly together they start committing murders together, and then they take pieces because he's a zombie, they take body parts off of the dead people and sew them onto him, and so that he can become a full person.
Okay.
And watching Saturday the 14th gave me such intense Lisa Frankenstein vibes because it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous premise for a movie and ridiculous things happen. Justin walked in the room while I was watching it and he was like, what are you watching right now? This is the weirdest movie I've ever seen. But I was delighted by Lisa Frankenstein. And watching Saturday the 14th, I was like, oh, that's why I like Lisa Frankenstein. I like this like weird, I like the idea of a horror comedy because I'm too much of a baby to actually watch horror movies. I never watch them anymore. I like the idea that it's a little bit funny and a little bit like tongue in cheek at the same time and not actually scary. I like the idea of monsters, but monsters don't hurt me in any way.
So you're telling me that you're the one who didn't write this review of this movie, Lisa Frankenstein, that I'm about to read.
Oh boy.
I am a goth too, and I don't get how this film promotes a wannabe goth girl who loves and basks in being a loner for no good reason. And also, it's a mockery for goths, and the fact that it normalizes having intimacy with a dead body that's completely dead. What are showing this generation? I'm reading this word for word. This shouldn't be applauded, but it's spelled appalled. This shouldn't be appalled.
Oh boy.
Also, it's very unlikely that this wannabe goth loves to play God by bringing people back from dead and killing others for revenge. Which, considered murder, hope this movie is never reminded it's a complete mockery of what God does. New sentence. And honestly, why not watch a movie that's full of life and blood, which Jesus did? If you want a good movie about a real issue instead of fake, ugly, twisted, and sickening fairy tale, watch a movie about reality issues like Sounds of Freedom or The Chosen, Goodbye, and God Bless.
So you're telling me that the person who wrote this review is a goth who loves to watch The Chosen, which is a biblical retelling of Jesus's life?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I was just making sure. If, however, that does sound like something you would like, do not disregard that review completely because I love Lisa Frankenstein. And if like the idea of sitting through Saturday the 14th is horrifying to you, I think it's a good alternative.
And those are the movies that raised us.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I don't know what that really says. What does that really say about our family when we're just like, remember Saturday the 14th? Good memories, guys.
Well, I like to bring things into some type of a package at the end. And I think that it's this. Movies when we were growing up were usually pretty bad, right? But those pretty bad movies shaped us a little bit and also carved out little pieces of our hearts and did kind of make us feel like we were on the inside sometimes of some kind of joke or some kind of parody and maybe shaped the humor of this generation.
I was going to say, I definitely think a movie like this shaped the way that we've mentioned it before. We love when things are taken too far, when things are funny, then not funny, but funny again. And I think this is definitely like Saturday the 14th really kicked that off for our family.
And as much as I love like hidden humor or like really dry, like we talked about like the slapstick generation, right? The like the Jim Carreys that would have been part of it growing up, the Mad TVs, the over the top outrageous SNL skits. And we do have an SNL episode that we did not too long ago, but like there's the there's a scene where the dad is the son makes a cup of coffee in the morning for Van Helsing, and he's like, no thank you, I don't drink coffee. And he like that little gap, and the dad is like, well, give it to me before my first cup of coffee in the morning, I can't see straight. And there's randomly 2 eyeballs in his coffee that are not connected to anything else in the movie. Like, it's not like it was like, hey, a monster lost its eyeballs or a person lost its eyeballs and now they're showing up. And then they also make like 2 or 3 other jokes about like, I've got my eyes on you type jokes within the span of like a minute and 15 seconds. And then they go back to the eyeballs in the cup of coffee. And like, I also just sometimes love the complete over the top, most obvious thing. I still, chuckled at that part.
I just think about how excited like one writer must have been to get that gag in. They're like, no, I've got a great one. There's going to be eyeballs in the coffee. And then he's going to say that he can't see without his coffee.
Yeah, like I enjoy sometimes that like completely obvious stuff in this movie. Everything is absolutely obvious. And I remember there was a Mad TV sketch. Maybe I've talked about this in a previous episode, but one of my favorite Mad TV sketches to this day, and I'll see if I can find it and put it in the show notes, but it was Mad TV. And it was called like Celebrity Face in a Box or something like that. But it was basically this, you can get a makeover to look like any celebrity that you want. And it's supposed to be done like an infomercial. And they set it up as this person is going to get their face in a box. They're going to be, I can't remember which one they were going to do. I think it was Tom Cruise or something. It is Tom Cruise. But they do the thing and they finish, and there's just like skin and eyeballs and like stuff falling out. And the guy's like, Tom Cruise, what have you done with my friend? And that type of like generational humor, I think for like this generation, this is the seeds. We get to see it right there where it's like very obvious. It's slapstick. It's like, there's nothing sophisticated happening here.
No,
but it's still
no subtext, only text.
Mostly text, all text.
All text, just straight text on this one. Okay, I really hope that we've inspired at least one person to go watch that the 14th. Luckily for me, it was available on truly every platform because it probably costs 25 cents to license this onto any platform. So I had so many choices. I had Amazon Prime, I had Roku, I had what else? It wasn't Netflix, but Peacock. I watched it like I had so many options to watch it. So, just if you've got
it's on YouTube. Let's put it in the show notes. Let's put the actual let's put the entire movie. Yeah, let's put it on YouTube. So we've got that to go in there. We've got the face in a box thing. There's something else that you referenced. So we're gonna
Goat Wiener Eyeball Man.
Goat Wiener Eyeball Man. Which I hope AI like pulls out of the show notes. Is like this is it.
Just I hope someone is that for Halloween and they just use like 2 hot dogs glued onto a goat mask.
Nobody gets it. Not a single person understands the reference because there are only 5 people in this world who have seen this movie. It is the 5 kids that grew up in 26 Dreyer Drive.
Perfect. Let's finish it out with a text. And
which isn't the skin being sucked off of a lizard.
Which is a different text. Believe it or not, we had lots of good texts this week. I had just lots to choose from. But my favorite, so I took my kids to go see the Minecraft movie last weekend. And if you've seen anything online, you know that like kids are going ballistic. It feels a lot like when we went to see the Barbie movie and like you went to be part of like the group of people that were also seeing it, except the group of people that you're seeing it with it is 13-year-old boys. And so it's just
stinky boys.
Bunch of stinky boys who I've never been to a movie experience quite like it. Kids were screaming the entire time, saying the lines
very nasally voice screams.
High pitched. One kid had a squeak in his chair and never stopped squeaking it the entire movie, which was really upsetting for me. But it was noisy or whatever. So I liked the movie, but there was a part of it that I was on my phone because I was like, well, I'm just going to tap out for a little bit. But just in time, I got a text message. It's not from one of our family members, but she might as well be my best friend. My childhood best friend, Erin, sent me a picture text of just one cassette tape. And that cassette tape on the front of it says, E and J, do not erase, with 3 exclamation points. And when I saw this tape, I immediately knew what it was, but I had to double check. I said, "Is this what I think it is?" And she said, "Sure is." And I said, "I am screaming internally because I'm at the movies." And I said, "I'm sending this to Ryan immediately." I did. I screenshot you and sent it to you within the minute because I was so excited. And Aaron said, "We should make this our sisterhood of the traveling pants, and we should alternate possession of this literal gold." She then asked for my address. She's sending it to me. What is on this tape? It is mine and Aaron McDougall's radio show that we recorded when we were 12 years old.
So let's digitize it, obviously.
Yes.
Let's rip it and put it into a digital format. Enhance. And I think, with Aaron's permission, we need to have an episode where it's our regular scheduled episode is just replaced with you and Aaron doing traffic and weather as like two 12-year-old girls in Ajax.
12-year-old girls. Aaron did remind me that we did, again, I'd just love to do some accent work. She was like, "There's some accent work on this that might be offensive to some." Like, okay.
Oh, I want this now. You know what we should do? We should do a live reaction. You play it, we pause, we talk about it. I haven't heard.
Drenched in sweat the whole time. She also told me because, I mean, we are in our 40s now, both of us. She has moved cross country. I moved to a different country. She still is in possession of this tape. And she was like, "I knew it was important enough to like keep it and move it cross country with me." And I was like, "When was the last time she listened to it?" And she said that she listened to it with her kids a few years ago. And on the other side, the B-side, so the A-side is radio show. B-side is us narrating an entire book on tape. Do you remember the book called The Devil and Daniel Mouse?
No, I don't.
We had a book at our house, and it was about this Daniel Mouse, and he meets the devil, and the devil is called Beelzebub the entire time. And we read the entire book and did voices, like voice work on it. And so she was like, A-side, great radio show. B-side, the cringiest book on tape that you've ever heard two teenage girls reading.
You're getting both. And you're getting both. As a devoted follower and listener of the Dreyer Drive podcast.
Crispy exclusive.
I will commit to getting this into your hands. And by your hands, I mean your ears.
Aaron is like, "I am so scared for this to get out."
Hey, but if she's game, if she's sending it to you, she knows. She knows what's about to go down.
She knows.
Aaron?
It's an artifact. It's an artifact of our lives at Dreyer Drive.
What else exists like that out there? Like, I've got buddies and we recorded videos. Like, we were the original like YouTubers before YouTube.
Does your website still exist? Your Angel Fire website?
It exists.
It does not. It does not.
It exists. I swear to you, it exists.
Show notes.
I have been on.
If I have to share my radio show, you have to share the Young Guns official Angel Fire website.
How about this? How about we also do an episode where we go through some of the written content of the Young Guns Angel Fire website? We'll post the pictures.
You introducing your posse to the world.
That's actually it. There was an application form to join.
Do you remember the gold? You had this when you were really into breakdancing. You had that gold mat that you had made.
By gold mat, you mean a piece of cardboard that was covered in gold, like foil paper that I believe Dad got from the landfill. It was like a giant industrial roll. We had multiple giant. Do you remember this? They were like a yard, a meter wide of different. There was like a fluorescent yellow one. There was like a foil gold one. There was a foil silver one, and there was just sticky paper. I don't even know what it was for, but
sticky tack. You used to carry this gold square of paper around everywhere so that you could break dance, and you always no matter where you were, you had a break danceable surface at all times. And Ryan, there is a video. Our mom taught. This is going to sound like a wild sentence. I don't know how to ever explain this. Our mom taught us
now or later.
Now, start. Our mom taught a religious class that we attended as teenagers at 6 a.m. every day. At 6 a.m. every day, we attended this religious class that she taught. She had a party for our religious class at the house. And part of the party was that we made a little video.
Tell me I didn't break dance. Tell me I didn't break
Right?
dance.
We made little music videos, and
Can I cry? I might cry.
I reworked religious names into Hypnotize, the song Hypnotize. And you break danced in the back.
No. What in the Jesus camp?
There's a video of it somewhere. It exists.
No.
I know it does. I know it does. We filmed it.
The amount of glaze that is covering me right now. This is. I remember being a teenager and being so deathly afraid that people would find out that I went to this religious class before high school every morning. This is why I was breakdancing to somebody rapping.
I sang Hypnotized, reworked lyrics to religious figures.
Absolutely. Stop.
And also one time at the religious class, you drew the entire class as cartoons, and you drew me as you drew me as a seagull. And when I said why, you said because, and I quote, you're a dirty squawk. You're a dirty squawk box. And like, when I tell you that stayed with me.
Well, apparently you were 4 years old quoting something I said. You are a turkey squawk box.
A dirty squawk box.
Dirty. You are a dirty.
I'm crying. I'm crying.
Oh my.
I'm sweating.
What a burn. What a burn. If you told me I was packing
so
that
mean.
heat as a teenager, you were a dirty squawk. Oh my gosh. I wish I had half of that at this age to just flip that out.
You said it so fast too. It was you had it ready. It was ready.
Oh, that is good. Well, this was.
Look at the tears in my eyes.
I love the crescendo. Is crescendo when it gets louder?
Yeah.
That happens in these episodes where we go through it, and then everything just. If you thought it was unraveled for the first hour and 29 minutes, where it just
goes
completely unravels and goes off the rails in the last 3 minutes, they're like, all right, well, see you in 2 weeks.
As I go to bed crying tonight. Oh, that's sick burn.
I legitimately need to go change my shirt. I'm not joking. I need to go and change this before I take Noah to ballet.
Like, Ryan, why are you so sweaty?
The best part is I have to now go about the rest of my day. Like, we didn't just record this and finish with you dirty squawk box.
It was a seagull with glasses.
Oh.
Again, I was deep in my Millhouse era. It was fair. It was fair.
The seagull was wearing cargo pants. Spare pair of sunglasses hanging out.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
look, we've got something to look forward to. I mean, we always look forward to it, but everyone has even more to look forward to, knowing that we've got the tape being digitized. And I think we're going to do a reveal of the first website that I ever created in my life, which was
I would love
Young
nothing
Guns.
more. It could be like a Ryan takes over podcast where you do all the prep work and it's just you reading through your old website.
It's one page. It'll be done in 6 minutes.
Though I did some research on myself. Turns out I was pretty cool.
All right. Well, this was an interesting one. As always, again, I say this quite often at the end of these. Thank you. And also, I feel sorry for you. And also, what are you doing with your life getting this far in this podcast? But hey, if you do like how things go off the rails and you like parodies and B-sides and
sweating
culture,
and he's laughing.
This is that podcast. So go and rate, just
all.
leave a rating somewhere. Or again, if you're somewhere in line at like a grocery store, getting a mani-pedi, getting your hair cut, in the doctor's office, tell your friends that this is the podcast that you love.
Tell your doctor.
Tell your doctor. We got you. All right.
Great.
2 weeks. We're going to run it back.
Okay. See you then.
See ya.